So I'm heading to Franklin Falls today. It's up by 90, exit 47. It's currently about an 8-mile round trip hike because of the road closure due to the ice and snow. You can see got my mountaineering boots and my crampons going right now because this is all just ice underneath the snow, so it's just not worth slipping and falling. So that's where I'm at. I'm gonna start hiking here in a couple minutes. So one of the tricks I've learned to hiking in the snow in the winter time is to walk much slower than your normal pace. This will prevent you from sweating, so when we stop to take photos, we don't get really cold. So I'm just kind of moseying along the road here. There's about 2 miles of road to the trailhead, so that's all I'm doing. It's snowing right now, as you can see. Makes kind of nice. The nice thing is, snow is dry. You know, you're out down in Seattle, it's soaking wet because it's raining, but up here you're nice and dry. Makes it much nicer. So I'm just gonna continue moseying so I get to trailhead. Apparently some sort of little like red power station or something on the river as well. So hopefully I can find that and take some good photos. So don't forget when you're out shooting that there's more than just a grand landscape. You can zoom right in on here on these little pine needles. Get like a little intimate photo of those. So there's all kinds of things like that when it's out snowing and you're outside. It's really quite beautiful. However, I forgot that my mountaineering boots give me blisters, and I didn't put any tape on my heels, so my right foot is in the process of getting a blister. But I think I'm about half mile from the falls, so getting close, so check in when I get there. So I made it here to Franklin Falls. You can see what I'm looking at right now. If I kind of pan up, you can see how big the falls actually are. So they're pretty tall. There's a couple of ice climbers over there, so that's kind of cool. So this is out right now for a panorama. I'm going to do actually a vertorama, so I'll take one here. It's got the leading line from the right corner into the falls. And then I'll raise the camera up and take another one and put them together in Photoshop. Kind of make a one big photo. So here's another view of Franklin Falls. I've been shooting the ice off to the right side. Right now there's this big ice wall here that I've been taking photos of. I think I'm about done. My hands are frozen, my face is frozen, I can barely talk. So I'm just gonna pack it up, head out, and go do some editing. On my way back to the car, what I've been doing is stopping at these trees, and you can see the bark on them. So if you pan up or down while you're taking the photo, it gives just a really kind of a cool abstract look. So it doesn't really look like bark, it's just a bunch of different colored lines throughout your photo. Just something different, you know. One other thing I forgot to mention was when you're out shooting in the snow and you're using your tripod, they make these spikes for the tripods. See that? Mine actually came with them, which is kind of nice. So I could just change out the rubber feet that's usually on it. That way you can stick it in the ice and the snow and it won't go anywhere. So just a little something to think about while you're out. You know, you don't always have to just take a photo of something. Just take a photo of like tree bark and pan your camera up or down or sideways or something, just to give a different look. Okay, so I got home. I got all my photos uploaded into Lightroom. Some of them, you know, the waterfalls turned out okay. You know, here's the vertical panorama I was talking about. There's the lower one. the middle one, then the upper one. And I'll show you how to put these together. Basically, the first thing I do is I'll go to this first one, come over here, do the remove chromatic aberration, enable profile corrections. And one thing I started doing is hit under the camera calibration, the blue primary, drag that all the way up. You can see it kind of brings out the yellows up in here. Bring it back down, and then it brings out some blue in here. So I'll just leave that as is. That's all I want to do to this one because I'm joining it with the others. Now I'll hit the shift key and then click on the last one that you want to do so it combines all three. Come over here and hit sync. And that will sync all the adjustments I made to the first one to the other two. And you hit synchronize and then it's good to go. So they're all the same now. So what you do is you right click on them and you go to photo merge and then panorama. What it's doing is it's creating a panorama, and you usually want to do the spherical. It's just the way you do it just works best. Auto crop usually the best thing to do. So I've actually already merged this photo, so what you do is just hit merge and then it's ready to go. This one, because it's a vertical, I left the auto crop off, and you'll see why in a minute. So I'll cancel all of that, scroll over, and then open up. So this is what happened when it opened up. So you can see how it warps out, and that's due to your lens distortion. All lenses do that. There's nothing you can do about it. But since they're all profile corrected, then each one is okay. So from here what we'll do is actually just crop it ourselves so we can maximize the photo. So this will come all the way down. Actually to about here. Let's bring in the side just to where it hits the edge. The same thing on this one. Just enough. Bring up the bottom just outside. And from there we can actually bring this back up to about there. Now hit return. And that's about the biggest photo we can get. So now you can see all the ice angles this way on this side and angles the other on this side. So what we'll do from there is come down to the transform and hit guided. Then what you do is you just drag a point, kind of follow what you want to straighten out. Then you do another one on this side. So see, we'll just drag it down and match that angle there. And you let go, it brings them all vertical again. So it did a pretty good job because this waterfall wasn't quite straight. But you can see all the ice on this side straight, ice on this side straight. And if you're not too sure about that one, you can always just redo it. But other than that, yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Then we'll hit done, and then from here, now we can go through into our normal editing and bring the shadows up, bring the highlights down, and bring out some of those points. Increase the white point to really make it pop, but keeping it off this edge up here so we don't get any blown out highlights. And I'll bring down the black point just a little bit and hit the Alt or Option key just to see where our black point is. And you can see these little climbers here. There's one there and there's one down here on the bottom belaying. So actually, it's really nice having them there because it gives a scale to how big the waterfall is. I'll bring up just a little bit of vibrance. Not too much, but again, you know, this photo is just kind of not that exciting. You know, so I'm really not going to spend a whole lot of time on it. Bring up a little bit of magenta. Just a little bit, kind of bring in a little bit of blue. Just kind of get that ice to, you know, bring out the blue. Then you can go to saturation, hit that little button right there. And this way we can just kind of pick on the blues, drag them up to get the ice to stand out a little more. So from there, I think that's about all I want to do to this. You know, I don't want to spend much time on it. And now in the video I mentioned that, you know, stop and take photos of the small things. You know, you have the little, like the pine needles on the trees, and, you know, just little things here and there. So you can see, so you have like, you know, just this, a simple white background, you know, just the pine needles here. And then there's this one here. So I'll show you how I went from this one to this one. Biggest thing is if you're just using Lightroom, you know, because it's a global contrast or global editing, you know, it kind of does everything at once, which is not what I want to do. So I think what we'll do is we'll open up into Photoshop. The first thing we'll do is come down, hit the, okay, we got the lens profile correction and all that. And then you right click the photo, edit in Adobe Photoshop CC. And let that open up. And then I'll continue on and show you what I do. Okay, now we're open in Photoshop. Now what I want to do is bring down the background, but not the leaves. So my options are, you know, I can come up here, we're going to make a curves level or curves layer, and then, you know, I can drag down the highlights, you know, bring up the shadows, but you can see what it does, just it's not right. So what we're going to do is discard that one. So just come up here and drag it down to the garbage can. It disappears. So if you come up here to your channels button, and what you're looking for is the channel with the greatest difference between your blacks and your whites. So as you click these off, you can see the blue channel. That one's pretty good. Come up here to green, not as good. Your red, yeah, that one's not very good either. So I think I'll go with the blue channel. So from here, what you want to do is create a copy of this, because if you don't create a copy, it will actually change your photo, which isn't good. So drag it down to this one. There, it makes a copy of it. Now from here, you hit Command, or I don't know what the PC one is, Command M, and it brings up this curves layer. And when you're on these layers like this, you have to remember white reveals and black conceals. So anything that's white is going to have the adjustment made. Anything that's black will not be adjusted. So what we want to do is bring up the whites as high as possible. Bring down the blacks. You know, just make it very black and white. Something similar to that. And click OK. Now what we want to do is come up here with your brush and go to the Overlay tab. We want to go 100% opacity. And with this one, we want to paint it with white. Just make sure there's no gray anywhere. So we'll do, now that we're at opacity, just paint. You can see how it's getting whiter, and with the overlay, it's not going to affect your blacks at all. So just come in here with everything. Just going to get all the white. Something like that. Actually, let me back up here a minute. Where's my, oh, here we are. Get rid of that little, let me just redo these brush strokes here, because there's some things in here I want to leave. So I'll come back in here, brush it again. Let's make this brush a little smaller. And come in through here. And adjust it all. Okay, I'll make it bigger again just so I can finish off this outside part. Okay, so I think that looks pretty good. Now from here, you hit this and it copies it. See how it makes all these marching ants all over the place? Come back to your RGB channel, back to your layers, and now if you do a curves layer, see everything that's highlighted red will not be adjusted. So you just click on it, it'll actually go away. So from here, come back to this point. If we bring these way down, you can see the greens aren't changing at all, right? So something similar to that. And we're gonna adjust a little bit because I'm trying to get some little contrast in the background here. So something like that. And then from there, if we want, we can do another curves layer. And this will basically change the whole photo again, as you can see. So what we want to do hit your control or your option button, drag this one up to that, and it makes it a copy of it, so we'll do the same thing. And then we'll hit Command I, and it'll invert it. So now, you can see now all the needles are chosen and not the background. So if you hit your Alt or Option button and you click on the mask, then it shows the black and white. So from here, now that we have another curves layer, we can adjust just the pine needles, just a little bit. So just go something similar to that. I think that looks pretty good. So from there, we can make a quick hue saturation layer. Click over this hand with the two arrows, and you can click on what you want done and then just drag it. You know, you can see it goes either one side or the other. So bring it up just a little bit. Something similar to that. And that's pretty much all I'll do with Photoshop. From here, we'll go ahead and close this out. Click Save. And it'll open it up back in Lightroom again. And it basically ends up looking, you know, exactly how you want it to. And then from here, you can actually double process it, because now everything's set to 0 again. So if you want, you can bring up the contrast, you know, change the exposure on this one. You know, it's kind of all up to you what you want to do. Don't usually double process much. Bring the whites down, bring out some of these shadows in here. Bring down the black point a little bit. Then there, I think we'll just close in the photo. Just use a little bit of vignetting. Actually, I think I'll kind of highlight the center. So what I'll do is I'll just grab a brush here, increase my exposure just a little bit, make it a very big, soft brush. Make sure my flow, my density is really low. And just kind of paint over everything kind of here in the center. Just bring it up just a little bit. Now if we turn this button on and off, you'll be able to see the changes. So just, I think we'll go a little bit more flow, a little bit more density. Bring that brush size down a little bit. Paint in. Now what happens if we turn it on? There you go. Just a little bit brighter. So I think from there, we'll just leave that one alone. You know, if you wanted to, you can make a new brush. Bring the exposure down a little bit, kind of brush in these darker spots here and there. Just kind of bring in, you know, some more depth to your photo. So I think I'll leave that one there. And I also mentioned in the video, if you find like some tree bark or something that looks really good, and you think, hey, that's kind of an interesting look, that you can take a photo of it, but pan your camera up or down when you do it. And what you end up with is something similar to this. You know, its pattern, its color. You know, you do it a few times, you know, to see what you like. Different, you know, panning rates. I found this other tree with had some snow on it and some green moss, so it ends up looking like this. You know, so I think I'll edit. I think we'll go with this one. These are pretty simple to edit because it's just what they are. You know, simple. So I'll always do these two: chromatic aberration, lens profile correction. And then from here, I think I'll just kind of boost the shadows up a little bit. You know, bring your highlights up a little bit. White point, I'll just kind of bring it out. Bring down the blacks, add a little bit of contrast. So you bring in some magenta, lots of blue, and the blue kind of kills it. Let's go a little bit more yellow. Bring out the vibrance a little bit. You can see if you do your clarity slider, it gets really kind of chunky or very soft. So I think we'll just kind of leave that one 0. If you want, you can bring in the saturation. You saturate some of these greens a little bit. Bring that up just a little bit. Maybe some of these reds, bring them up a little bit. Then from there, if we zoom in, you can see it's a little bit noisy. So I'll come down here, let's bring the sharpening down to 0 because there's no sharp edges. Do a little bit of noise reduction. And you can see the grain just went away. And that's about it with these ones. You can bring in a little vignetting if you want. Something simple. And go just like that. I think that looks pretty good. If you want to hang something on your wall, it's just color, it's pattern. And leave it at that. Let's see. Let's do one more. Some other ones I took was basically just of the ice. So let's scroll through, find some ice photos. Oh, where'd they go? Here we are. Something like this. All I wanted was just the ice, or I took some portrait ones. I got this one here. Kind of like this one. Well, I'll stick with this one here. So again, we'll come down, do this blue primary slider. You see, it just kind of brings out the blue and the yellows in the rocks. Do our lens profile correction, chromatic aberration. I'll come up here. If it depends on what you want with something like this. You can bring up the shadows, bring up the highlights, bring up your white point a little bit, bring down the black point, a little more contrast. A little bit of vibrance. Don't want to do too much, then it'll look over processed. Clarity is fine. I think we'll bring out some of these blues in here. Just kind of drag that up. So right about there. And the one thing I don't like about this photo is up here, it's got these branches up here and here. So I think we'll crop those out. So the crop tools, drag that down to about there. I think that looks good. Do we want this big patch of snow right there? Drag it in, make it a square. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Hit enter. Leave it at that. And again, this is all what you want to do. Add a little bit of sharpening. Bring the radius down to kind of make it as small as possible. Right in through all here, then we'll hit the Alt Option key, and you can see, because you really just want the edges sharp. I think right about there looks good. A little bit of noise reduction, about 30. You just kind of smooths it out a little bit. From there, let's kind of close in the photo, bring in a little bit of vignetting. Not too much. And from there, make it just, no blue is kind of too much. What you can also do, see this profile in your camera calibration? You can also just change that, like camera landscape. You'll see how it turned everything really blue. You have camera standard. Kind of turn it a little more yellow. I'll kind of go between the camera landscape or the Adobe standard. That's kind of my standard ones, unless I'm doing infrared and I go to the Tow River, but that's just throws it way off, so that's only for infrared photos. So we'll just leave it at that. And I think that's about it. Just kind of leave it at the kind of more natural look. I don't want to do too much. So if you guys want to know anything else, leave me a comment in the comment section. Like or subscribe to the video. And then check out randybotphotography.com and subscribe to the blog or the newsletter or anything you want. And other than that, have a good day. See you next time.